Every day, airplanes take to the skies and bring those who need their services across an entire country or around the world. How do they fly? And what makes them function? Let's take a look at how airplanes work and what makes them fly. The Wright brothers are known as the inventors of the airplane, but they were hardly the first to fly. There are a number of cultures that have creation myths that speak to flight without any technological help. The Wright brothers were well familiar with Sir George's work, and they knew that if they wanted to truly fly, they would need to create an airplane. Their first successful attempts at flight were made in 1903 at Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. After the Wright brothers proved that they could fly, many people around the world began to experiment with different shapes and sizes for aircraft. Modern airplanes are truly engineering marvels. They overcome highly turbulent and unpredictable currents in the air and complete their flights by undertaking many complex maneuvers. First, let's have a closer look at modern airplanes. Wings and tails. One interesting thing you will notice is that they are not made as a single solid piece. The wings and tails of the airplanes have many movable parts. The most fascinating thing about the whole wing and the different parts of it is that they form a very special shape in fluid mechanics, that is, the airfoil shape. Understanding how airplanes fly requires us to familiarize ourselves with the forces that act on them as they slice through the air. There are 4 different forces that keep an airplane up in the air: lift, drag, weight, and thrust. An airfoil produces a lift force when moved relative to the air. This lift force makes an airplane fly. How is this lift produced? The airfoil produces a down wash. This causes a pressure difference at the top and bottom of the airfoil, and hence produces lift. There are 3 techniques to increase the lift of an airfoil: high speed, high angle of attack, and use of flap and slat. Generally, the higher the angle of attack results in an increase in both lift and induced drag, up to a point. Lift begins increasing with angle of attack, because the bottom surface of the airfoil will have a larger radius of curvature than the top surface. Thus the pressure gradient will point downwards. This means the bottom surface will have higher pressure than the top surface, and the airfoil will experience lift. A greater airspeed also increases the lift force significantly. Whenever a plane is about to take off or land, the flap and slat are there to help. If we activate the flap and slat, it increases the downwash and increases the lift. The ailerons can move up and down, and for that reason, the lift force can decrease and increase respectively. At the tail of the airplane, you can see 2 attachments: the rudder and the elevators. By adjusting the elevators, you can control the vertical force on the tail. By adjusting the rudder, you can control the horizontal force. Let's start with the takeoff part of the flight. To get the airplane to take off from the ground, what you have to do is increase the lift force using various techniques and make sure that this force is more than the gravitational pull. Pilots apply all of the 3 lift increase techniques together for a successful takeoff. First, the speed of the airplane is increased by increasing the thrust of the engines. When the airplane's speed is high enough, the pilots activate the flaps and slats. Lift is further increased due to this. When the airplane is ready for takeoff, they activate the elevators upwards. The tail force tilts the airplane, and the angle of attack of the airfoil will be increased. The lift is suddenly increased due to this, and the airplane takes off. Usually, an angle of attack of 15 degrees is maintained for the takeoff. As long as the engine's thrust is more than the drag, the speed of the airplane will keep on increasing. The greater the speed, the higher will be the lift force. When flight begins, how does an airplane change the direction? The rudder produces a horizontal force, and this force can turn the airplane. However, such a direct change in direction will cause discomfort to passengers, and it is not a practical method to make a turn. To maintain control, pilots just make one aileron go up, and the other aileron go down. The difference in the lift force will make the airplane roll. The ailerons control the roll of the airplane. The elevator controls the pitch. On the horizontal tail surface, the elevator tilts up or down, decreasing or increasing lift on the tail. This tilts the nose of the airplane up and down. And the last one, the rudder, controls yaw. On the vertical tail fin, the rudder swivels from side to side, pushing the tail in a left or right direction. A pilot usually uses the rudder along with the ailerons to turn the airplane, and the flight continues. Thanks for watching the video. For more videos, subscribe to my channel.